It's Royce Jacob. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Stock Talk, series I make whenever I feel it's necessary, where we cover some exciting news and price action in regard to some of the stocks we've been talking about on the channel. In today's case, we are covering some of our good old COVID-related biotechs. You guys know I have to keep you posted with my thoughts on the sector at least once a week, so I'm excited to get into it with you guys. All right, so we have some big news to cover today. I'm a little hesitant actually calling it big. It just feels exciting because it's been so sleepy in the sector lately. So hey, I'll take anything that can stir up the pot a little bit. That's definitely what this news did. So as always, we'll go over each topic that we're going to be discussing, then we'll dive into each one individually. In front of us, Trading View, where we will be looking at all of our charts today. We'll go down the line here on the watch list, the usual. Moderna, Sorrento, biotech, Inovio, Novavax, and VXRT. We will also take a look at AstraZeneca quickly as well, just because that's the biggest piece of news that we are covering. So we'll take a look at each of these charts. I'll let you guys know what I'm thinking in terms of technicals and future potential price action. But as always, you know we have to cover some fundamentals as well. So AstraZeneca shares drop 6% after company announces a routine safety pause in coronavirus vaccine trial. If you guys are involved in the sector, I imagine you've already heard this, you've already read up on it yourself, but we're covering it again, of course, because it's huge news and it did make waves across this sector. All right, so yeah, we'll get into that when we get to it, but pretty much a little speed bump in AstraZeneca's trials. Obviously, a speed bump for one of the companies that's furthest along in trials is good for other companies, which I'm sure you can see on the charts. Next up, we will cover COVID-19 vaccine trial participant had serious neurological symptoms. So get a little more specific on what happened with AstraZeneca's speed bump, but could be discharged today, AstraZeneca CEO says. So obviously, this guy's stressing. It's not looking too he's not looking too hot. But we will get into that. Just get into that a little more, understand really what's going on there. We will then kind of use that to segue into AstraZeneca's coronavirus vaccine setback, mixed blessing for Moderna, says analyst. All right, so again, we will just use this to segue into kind of the impact that negative news for AstraZeneca led to positive news, not even positive news, but positive price action in regard to some of the competitors. Obviously, if one of the kingpins within the sector, one of the developers that's real far along in trials, like AstraZeneca does poorly, then obviously it means it doesn't mean good, but it looks so bad on them that it makes other people want to flock to companies like Moderna. So we'll get into this a little bit. We will then get a little real here, you guys. Don't expect a coronavirus vaccine before the election. Here's the likely timeline according to doctors, government officials, and analysts. And I know you guys, especially if you're involved in the sector, you're gonna have a bias. I have an underlying bias as well, but you have to address the biases you have as always. So it's nice, and it's obviously good for humanity. The sooner a vaccine comes, the sooner an efficacious vaccine comes, I should say. Better for humanity, better for the portfolio. But you got to be real, and we will cover just some quick key points here, just to give you guys an idea of what's going on. And I'll let you guys know what I think about this as well, and kind of just how I'm rationalizing what's going on in this sector right now, and from a fundamental perspective. But of course, we will look at the charts as well. Okay, after the vaccines, you guys know we have to talk about Sorrento. So Sorrento Inc. completes the acquisition of Smart Farm to advance the next generation of non-viral gene therapies. So we did talk about this in either the one or two stock talks ago when we talked about Sorrento, but they were talking about it. They were just kind of batting the idea around. It was pretty sure that it was a pretty sure thing, but now it's for sure a sure thing. So we will cover this. This is exciting. This is the stuff I love to see for companies that I'm long-term bullish on from a fundamental perspective, and Sorrento is like the epitome of that for me. Okay, so excited to cover that. Again, you guys, before we get into it, I will ask you guys to please give the video a like if you do go on to gain value from it, or if you're invested in any of the stocks we're talking about today. Subscribe to the channel. If you're new around here, please help me get to 20K, and check out my complete portfolio and daily newsletter. First link in the description if you want to know exactly how I'm personally trading the stocks within the sector as well as the rest of the market right now. Okay, so I appreciate it if you do. If not, no worries. Let's get into this. All right, so once again, you guys, we have to kick it off with the fundamentals. We will get into Moderna and AstraZeneca as well right after this, and all the other charts. But again, AstraZeneca shares dropped 6% after company announces a routine safety pause in coronavirus vaccine trial. We will just read the highlights here and then move on to that next article about the specifics. AstraZeneca shares fell more than 6% after the company said its late-stage trial for a potential coronavirus vaccine had been put on hold due to safety concerns. This is a routine action which has to happen whenever there is a potentially unexplained illness in one of the trials. While it is investigated and suing, we maintain the integrity of the trials, the company said in a statement to CNBC. AstraZeneca began its trial late last month and is one of the three companies currently in late-stage testing for a potential vaccine. The other two are Pfizer and Moderna. So again, you guys, these are the three kingpins right now. you guys know what I mean. I have to assume when I say kingpins, but they're just the furthest along in trials. They're all in phase 3. Okay, so AstraZeneca, Pfizer, and Moderna are the only 3 in phase 3s. Okay, so keep that in mind. Let's move on to this, talk a little bit of specifics. So we'll just read these 2 short paragraphs here and then take a look at the charts. The participants who triggered a global shutdown of AstraZeneca's phase 3's COVID-19 vaccine trials was a woman in the United Kingdom who experienced neurological symptoms consistent with a rare but serious spinal inflammatory disorder called transverse myelitis. That's kind of a sick name, myelitis. The drug maker's chief executive, Pascal Soria, said during a private conference with the investors on Wednesday morning. Sorry if I said that name wrong. The woman's diagnosis has not been confirmed yet, but she's improving and will likely be discharged from the hospital as early as today, Soria had said. So you guys keep in mind, this is probably going to happen with every single large-scale trial that happens. Everyone's biochemistry is different. That's the weird thing about this virus as well. It affects everyone differently. Antibodies, like whatever you put into your body, even be it food, be it diet and nutrition, which I'm personally very interested in, it will affect everyone differently because everyone's biochemistry is unique to them. Okay, so keep that in mind, you guys. This who knows if this person, I know they have to kind of test for underlying and pre-existing health conditions when you enroll in a trial and when you agree to be part of this trial. So I mean, just keep in mind, guys, these things work differently in every human, and it's really not surprising to see something, sadly, but just being real here, like something will likely go wrong when you're testing a vaccine that is still pretty young. And like these developers are doing their best to make an efficacious vaccine, obviously. It's good for the world, it's good for their pockets, but you guys, like, this is a very hard thing. These companies are undertaking a very hard task, and just keep that in mind. So that's that. We'll take a quick look at AstraZeneca real quick. I just have a very brief analysis for you. I want to let you guys know that I'm not trading any of these currently. My only 2 positions right now are Moderna and Sorrento. If you've been around before, you would know that, but I just want to say that for transparency. The only 2 and they are long positions. It's Moderna and Sorrento. I'm not trading any of these other companies that we're talking about. But I will still try to be as objective as possible. From a technical perspective, AstraZeneca is not looking too good. It's been in this nice channel even since for the past year, since last year of August, it's been in a nice channel. So it's been following this channel, and whenever it breaks below this line of support, that is a pretty strong line of support that it did just close. It has closed a few daily candles under now. It's very likely that we'll see more of a pullback, in my opinion. So what's likely, I think it will be likely to pull back to areas where it spent a lot of time around. So use it as support around this area after the bounce back up, and use it as a resistance. So remember, you guys, in TA, when you're looking at charts, what support and resistance can be used both ways, and I think it's going to be used as support now. Now that it's broken this line of support on the uptrend, I think we'll likely come back down to like the $50 region, which isn't much, but it's a decent pullback for AstraZeneca. All right, and keep in mind, you guys, AstraZeneca is a very large company. They are over $140 billion company, so they are significantly larger than many of the other companies that we're talking about today. All right, let's move on to this. AstraZeneca's coronavirus vaccine setback, mixed blessing for Moderna, says analyst. Moderna shares, which shed over 13% Tuesday on an analyst downgrade, are reversing course with the competitor's clinical woes as the catalyst. AstraZeneca's clinical hold reflects reasonable caution given the high safety bar for a vaccine that is being developed for a potential administration to many millions of healthy individuals. Yet the read-through is limited for mRNA or protein subunit vaccine candidates, given the key differences in delivery vectors and underlying technology, the analyst said. The common cause for concern for all vaccine developers may be the extent to which this event leads to broader vaccine hesitance among the general population or greater regulatory scrutiny across mechanisms of action. Moderna shares will likely trade up in reaction to the reduced competition to become second to market after Pfizer. That's a tough one. I'm not going to try that one again. Let me focus myself, guys. Sorry about that. Got to do that sometimes. So keep this in mind, you guys. Like this sector is so subject to news, and obviously it does make sense just from a kind of an intuitive perspective. If there's 3 primary competitors and one gets wiped out, that significantly increases the chances of the other 2. So that's why Moderna and Pfizer are stoked. Again, you guys, this is a kind of a net negative. It's a bummer to hear that there was this setback in AstraZeneca. And again, we don't know the validity of that single situation, because it was just one individual. You're talking about a significant minority, okay? So I think the majority Obviously, the majority did not face those effects, at least to date, as we know so far. Hopefully, that's not the case. But you guys just never know like what's going to happen. And AstraZeneca that could have been a fluke. That could have been a very unique case with that woman. But those are just the things you have to think about, you guys. I'm sorry I'm not articulating this well, but I hope you guys kind of catch my drift here. That said, anyway, let's move on to Moderna. So again, you guys, this is indirectly good news for Moderna. Again, it's not good fundamental news for Moderna, but I mean it is it translates to what can be good news. Again, it's greatens their chances significantly. Okay, so from a technical perspective, though, you guys, Moderna is still in a downtrend since that high we set back in mid-July. And for me to be bullish, for me to like actually reestablish a significant position, like a long position, call options position, whatever, with Moderna, it will have to break up above this downtrend. So if Moderna can close a daily candle, ideally a weekly candle, to be honest, above, just to play it safe, above like maybe above 60. If Moderna can close a weekly candle above $60, call it like $62, $63, then I will reconsider reestablishing a call options position. That is pretty likely, just because I do think that it will once again, because again, I am confident in Moderna. That's the reason I still hold it, is because I do think it'll once again come up to retest this line that was once a very strong line of support and now use it as resistance. So say it hits it by say it hits this line by mid-October. Okay, if it hits this line by mid-October, it brings us back up to like the $90 level. Okay, so I mean, I think this is very likely. We can get, you guys see these lines I've had drawn up here. I think best case scenario at this point, because again, you guys, the longer you extend these trend lines, the higher the price point gets as you expand further out in time. I think best case scenario, say we hit it by like close mid to the end of October. They released some great news. Their vaccine works. It's being distributed. It's starting to go, not being distributed, but going into manufacturing. I think Moderna could definitely hit the $125 region. Moderna's market cap is currently at $22 billion. So still a fraction of Pfizer. Again, you guys have to remember, Moderna has no mainstream products even on the market yet. So this is objectively a more speculative play. But from all the research I've done, you guys know that we have been following this stock for months now. I'm confident in Moderna. I like what they're doing. I like the technology they're using, and I'm confident in the fact that they will pull through with successful trials, and it'll be exciting to see what happens there. All right, so before we get into the rest of these stocks, I do want to cover these two quickly with you guys, okay? So I'll just read some of the keys here. President Trump has suggested that a coronavirus vaccine may become available right around the election. Obviously, he's going to say that he wants to increase his chances as much as he possibly can prior to the election. But public health experts, financial analysts, and U.S. government officials have said that the timeline is unrealistic. Most experts think there's little hope of a vaccine being ready before the end of the year. Under the most optimistic scenario, drug companies like Pfizer and Moderna could release positive results from their human trials in October. Okay, so that's why I mean, you guys, that's why I'm saying I'm long-term bullish on these. The short term is so much more uncertain in my mind, and that has changed over time. You guys, like, if you think that I've lost complete hope in the sector or any of the sectors that may be pulling back, you're definitely mistaken. The reason, and you would know this if you've been part of the Waves fam for a while, like the reason I ever invest in any company is because I'm fundamentally bullish on it. I never only trade companies for their technical prospects. Although technicals do play a very significant role, especially in today's market, I don't like out of principle playing companies that I'm not fundamentally bullish on because I just don't feel good about it. Okay, and this still applies with Moderna and Sorrento. I feel very good about the long-term prospects of these companies, Sorrento especially, to be honest, which we will cover now. But you guys just keep in mind, these things take time. You can't rush things like this that are so, like, you're literally injecting something into people's bodies. There needs to be regulations in place, and people need to care about this a lot. And like, it's a good thing the FDA is I think, I don't have the article up now, I'm sorry, but there was that kind of pact that a lot of these companies made with each other to take the necessary steps to not rush anything and take the necessary time that's required to make a vaccine that won't hurt people and help people. Okay, so just keep that in mind, you guys. Be patient with this. I'm patient. That's why, again, all my call options, my stock positions are long term. All right, let's get into Sorrento Therapeutics news, and then we'll get into the rest of the charts. All right, so Sorrento Therapeutics Inc. completes the acquisition of Smart Pharma to advance next gen of non-viral gene therapies. Since its establishment in 2009, Sorrento has had a long journey of discovering diversified therapies for managing cancer and possibly curable diseases. The company has put together a unique and unrivaled portfolio, which includes bispecific antibodies, immune checkpoint inhibitors, and antibody drug conjugates, among others. All these have demonstrated the abundant promise in their respective performances. They have great potential for resolving some of the most difficult cancer challenges. However, the company has now turned some of its attention to COVID-19. Through a merger agreement, the biopharma has acquired Smart Pharma. The duo will work together to accelerate the development of antibody-centric therapeutics, including those for COVID-19 and other rare diseases. So you guys, if you haven't happened to watch I did a solo analysis video on Sorrento. It was probably close to 2 months ago now. I can't remember exactly, but just look up my Sorrento analysis. And Sorrento is a great company. Like Sorrento, they're working on cancer. They're doing great things within the cancer space, which, I mean, aside from COVID, I know COVID is kind of at the top of everyone's mind in terms of health risk, but cancer's killed way more people than COVID, and they're doing really cool things within that space, which makes me even more bullish on Sorrento on top of their COVID treatments, whatever their COVID pipeline consists of. Like their cancer pipeline is very promising as well. So that's what makes me even more long-term bullish on Sorrento. So that said, I just want to assure you guys that I am still very bullish on Sorrento. Let's take a look at the charts here. And I think, you guys, it surprised me if you guys have watched my recent ones. I thought Sorrento would have bottomed out around this area where it initially gapped up. I was wrong. It's pulled back more. We've seen a lot more bloodshed in the sector, and I'm sorry, you guys. I do my best, but sometimes I'm wrong, and just keep that in mind. And it could tank more. I don't know, but I just really don't feel like I don't feel like even if the markets tank, I don't feel like a further pullback in Sorrento is warranted. Keep in mind, guys, it is still up significantly over the course of just this year. Let's actually take a quick look at those metrics for Sorrento. So my fat head's in the way, but 1 month. So 6 months. So in the past year, it's up 170%, pretty significant. 6 months up almost 250%. So you guys remember, it is still significantly up. But I mean, I think they're such a promising company. What's their market cap at? Their market cap is 1.6 billion. So they're a minuscule company, you guys. Remember that as well. And again, you guys, it's not only COVID, but it's their cancer research as well, which will definitely. These things take time. Once again, you guys, I'll always circle back to that. These things take time, and it's unreasonable to try to rush companies like this who are working on such large scale human issues. But I do think that I haven't read much about their treatment, the progress in regard to their treatment lately. But if I'm looking for a short-term bounce, that's what I'm personally banking on. I think that would definitely bring us back up to levels that this line was actually here. I've had this line drawn for a long time on Sorrento. This was my initial price target from, I think these were highs set back in 2015. I'm not going to scroll out now, but it's years back highs, or just areas of support and resistance. And it definitely bounced around this area for a while when it was making those highs. So aside from 2 days, it bounced around here for a week. And I think it's very reasonable to see a bounce up again because it had such a sharp move up and down. It wouldn't surprise me to see a second significant wave in Sorrento and see it bounce back up to the $14 levels. I think once we get back up to the $14 levels, we will see some resistance there, unless they really come out with some strong news. But I mean, you guys, I'm still bullish on Sorrento. I'll just leave it there. As always, I'll keep you guys posted. We'll see how this plays out. All right, so biotech. Let's move on to biotech SE. So biotech, a lot of these look similar, you guys. They're still in downtrend. So biotech is actually almost about to, might have to make that up because that's such a strong red candle right there, like that we're seeing here. Biotech will have to break above this line right here, this line of resistance that it's been setting once again since late July. If it breaks above that, which would be very likely, if it closes a good daily candle, if it has a decent day tomorrow, up a few percent, and closes up a few percent tomorrow, then it has technically broken this downtrend, and I do believe we might be able to see a bounce up. It would make sense to see a bounce up to the $75 level, where we set two solid highs back in late June and just a few weeks ago. Okay, so we will see how this plays out, but biotech not looking too bad. Again, you guys, I'm not invested personally. I'm not trading these personally, but I'm just letting you guys know what I think. Inovio doesn't look too good, you guys. So Inovio is bouncing on this line that it has used as both a line of resistance and support a few times in the past. Inovio is probably, man, it sucks to see how like promising Inovio was a few months back, if you guys remember. But Inovio is just, you guys, it's not looking good. It has a very strong line of resistance. It has to go up a ways to break this downtrend that it's in right now. And again, you guys, Inovio sadly is not looking too good. The stochastic RSI is curling up a little bit. That is bullish from just from that perspective. RSI is extremely low. Like, these are definitely in oversold territory compared to how they performed over the past few months. But keep in mind, guys, it will take some good news to catalyze a significant move up, I believe, in any of these stocks. Novavax is seeing a solid correction, but once again, it is in a downtrend. And for me to be bullish, once again, Novavax would have to break out of this downtrend, out of this line of resistance. But I think it has danced around this area for a few days, which is the area before it gapped up prior to that crazy rally we saw all the way from July to August. This was probably the cleanest rally I've seen in almost any stock I've ever played personally. So Novavax has proven itself to show strength in the past. I do believe, because it's such a strong stock, Novavax's market cap is at $5.5 billion. Remember, you guys, they are part of Operation Warp Speed as well. So they do still have a shot. I'm definitely more fundamentally bullish on Novavax than Inovio, to be honest. And I do think that if they break out of this downtrend at about, they would have to break, if they can close a daily above $100, just play it safe there, then I do expect we could maybe see a bounce back up to like the 150 area. Maybe not that high, you guys, considering Novavax. I would say safely to like the 120 area, because it did spend a lot of time, like it gapped up right here. It spent a lot of time around that area over late August. So it wouldn't surprise me to see at least a bounce up to that area. And best case scenario, if they drop some good news, I think we come up to the 150 levels. Last but not least, let's hit up VXRT. VXRT, you guys, is looking terrible, sadly. So VXRT has seen a crazy correction. What is that? Let's see. Let's do a quick price. Let's do a quick price range. Okay. So VXRT from its high at 1750 to where it is now has seen a 75% correction. You guys, that is insane. I'm sorry to you guys if you happen to get in at any levels around these areas, because this is insane. Okay, so VXRT, similar to the rest of you guys, it has to break out of this downtrend, has to break out of this line of resistance. I think worst case scenario is we come back to these regions where we were bouncing around initially back in like April, May. So that would bring us, if it does come around, like it did use this as an area of resistance a few times, and this was where it was right before it broke out on this huge candle up. That would take us back down to like the 330 region. It's still at $5, so that's a significant pullback from here. I mean, I hope that doesn't happen. I've no direct bias myself, but if you guys are invested, I really hope it doesn't happen. If you have shorts on it, then good luck with that. But from a technical perspective, like on the upside, it will have to break out of this line of resistance, similar to the rest. And if we do see some great news out of VXRT, significant bounce up, I wouldn't be surprised to see it bounce up to almost the $10 region, where it spent a lot of time around this area, both on the rally up and kind of the way back down. Okay, so that is VXRT. Once again, you guys, always let me know down in the comments below what you're thinking about this sector. Again, it's nice. It's been so sleepy lately that it's just kind of nice to see at least some news. Obviously, it's bad news. It's a bummer for AstraZeneca, but at least it's spicing up the sector. It does suck when a sector is seeing so much bullish momentum and so much hype, and then you just kind of stripped from the sector. And it will be interesting to see. I should have said this earlier, but because I do believe the equity markets could see a pullback, when I talk the equity markets, I'm talking like big tech. So many of the things that have driven the equity indices up, like big tech. If we see capital flow out of big tech, I do believe that capital will flow into more promising sectors that haven't seen love, sectors that have seen significant corrections, like this biotech sector. So we'll have to see if that plays out. You guys always keep in mind that I have no idea if that will play out or not, but that's something I'm personally keeping an eye on. I'm looking out for it, and if we do see that happen, then I will definitely buff up some of my positions, because that would be very powerful, because there's so much money in big tech right now. If that does start to flow out and flow into this sector, then that's, especially with market caps as small as some of these, that's very promising. Okay, so once again, you guys, let me know in the comments down below what you're thinking about this sector. Always love talking to you guys about this sector. This was one of the sectors that really I built my channel on, so I always appreciate this sector. But yeah, just let me know down below. Always love learning from you guys. Always love talking shop with you guys. And of course, once again, if you want to know my exact call options positions on some of these stocks, actually Moderna and Sorrento to be specific, and again, know if I do happen to pick up more positions in the sector, if the tides do start to turn. Check out my complete portfolio daily newsletter below. It's not only this sector, it's literally every sector I'm playing, every position I have in my entire portfolio. And I do send out an email newsletter every trading day during market hours, talking to you guys about the trades I made that day, rationalizing my thoughts, and just giving you guys my thoughts on the general markets overall, not only equities, but gold, silver, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, everything. So yeah, check that out if you're interested at all. First link in the description. If not, no worries. And as always, until next time, you guys, always remember, take action, make waves. Peace.